Okay, so this is the post-construction for your puppy's ears. These are the supplies generally that I use. This is the Leukotape strapping tape, double-sided tape. We just happen to have this kind. Gauze pad, 5/8 inch backer rod, and heavy-duty zip ties. With the zip ties, you'll notice that they have like a bit of a curve just because of the way that they've been packaged. So we actually find that you have to heat them just gently and then put something heavy, or just like make sure that they lay straight as they cool. But just take special care not to heat them too much, otherwise they become brittle. So to start with, we take our backer rod and we cut it right up the middle. So you have two halves right there. Okay, and then you take your strapping tape, measure it to about the length of your backer rod. Lay it down, and you measure your zip tie on your backer rod. You want to leave like a little extra cushion on the end there. And then make sure that it goes all the way up to the tip on this side. So this is the part that's going to go in the ear. So what I do, just so that there's no real sharp edges, is I will take my Dremel and try not to get that stuck to my finger. And I will actually round off the edges. As you can see, just so that there's nothing like sharp, just trying to make it so that there's less chance of injuring anybody or making it uncomfortable for the puppy any more than it has to be. So you lay your tape, your zip tie down on right in the middle of your tape, and then flat side down on top of that, and then you take your strapping tape and you just make a neat little package. So that's what you have there. And see, as you can see, like there's that extra little bit right there, so that's kind of like a little bit of cushioning that goes into the ear. And that is when, this is an unnecessary step. You don't actually have to do this, but I like to, simply because it not only adds further cushioning, but it creates like a little bit of moisture absorption. And so just, I take like a small piece of this gauze pad, and we'll be taping it onto the very end. It's a very small piece. Taping it onto the very end of our backer rod post. So I fold it in half, cut it right down the middle there. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I kind of start at the end, if you can see, and I'll just wrap it around and then fold her up. Now you can use the Leukotape here to tape it on. I happen to have like another absorbent cloth tape, so I'll just be using that because I just happen to have it. See, it's on the end there. And then you take our you take our double-sided tape, and on this flat side here just do a length of it. It doesn't have to be the entire thing, but it helps if it's all the way to the end. It doesn't necessarily have to be all the way down to the bottom, but if that's what you want to do, you can go ahead. It doesn't have to be, like I said multiple times, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to work. And then it's like you've probably all seen, swear a couple times as you try and get the backing off of the double-sided tape. Okay, so you have your double-sided tape on the flat side, as you can see. And you take your Leukotape. I like the Leukotape because it's very, very sticky and it's intended to be used like kind of medically. So I feel a little better using that on directly on the puppy's skin. I know there's much less chance that they're going to have an allergic reaction to any of the adhesive or anything like that. Lots of people use hockey tape. I find it's not sticky enough. So there's that. One of the things you can do if you can't get your hands on Leukotape is use hockey tape and then use like an all-purpose adhesive. Lots of people use this Super 77, but I'm not a huge fan of that because it's just an all-purpose adhesive. It's not necessarily intended to be used on the skin, and the ears are rather, you know, delicate skin to begin with. Let's take your strapping tape, and so what we're going to do is we're going to back wrap this post. So I anchor it on, as you can see. Okay, and then so we back wrap it. And the purpose of the double-sided tape on there is to stop this from sliding down once you have it all back wrapped. And that is your completed post. All right, so you grab your puppy. And so what I have here is foot powder. I've just put it in a tube with a nice long pipe, just so it's easier to get right into the ear canal. Some rubbing alcohol. I also have this Tuf-Skin, which is like, what do they call it? It prevents slipping and bunching. It's a bandage base is basically what they call it. It's not necessary, I just find it helps. And your posts, pre-made, obviously. And some cotton to wipe out the ears. Don't run away, Red. Come here. Come here, Red. Oh, he's sliding. All right, so you're tapping some odor eater, or what do they call this? Gold Bond powder. It's for feet.
She's eating.
Which he's eating. Some rubbing alcohol. And some cotton. Your pre-made posts. Oh, and the other item I forgot is this Kinesiology tape. We've been using this recently. We seem to really like it. Hi, baby. And the Tuf-Skin bandage adhesive. It's not a glue in itself necessarily, but it more just stops slippage, and I find that it helps the sticky back wrapped posts really adhere to the ear and kind of stay there a little bit longer. Okay, so take your puppy. And so what I do is I take my rubbing alcohol, you say no baby, on this cotton swab, and I really just clean the surface of the ear. So what I'm really doing is just removing any buildup of oils. When you're redoing posts, there may be some adhesive still left. Gonna try and remove that as much as you possibly can. If you've been using an adhesive remover, this is really vitally important because I find that the adhesive remover tends to leave a bit of a film, and that will just completely screw up the adhering of the new posts to the ear itself. So I get that nice and clean. You're not necessarily cleaning the ear itself, you're just kind of removing any of the surface oils. You kind of get in there, and that way You can kind of remove any of the gunk that's in there or any buildup. I'm just going to dry that one off with a paper towel. Okay, so just drying off the ears. And that's when I take my Tuf-Skin and give it a really good shake. And I'm going to spray the surface of the ear where I want the post to adhere to. Sometimes I miss, so don't judge me. And so I like to kind of stick my finger in the ear itself, like right in the canal here, just so it doesn't go in the ear, and it's not quite as startling. They still jump, just I think it's because of the noise and it's cold. Good boy. He's a good sport. Stick my finger in there, pull up the ear. Good boy. There. And so then what we're going to do now is we're going to wait a couple of minutes just to let those get nice and tacky. And then I'm going to be taking my foot powder. I call it ear powder, but we all know what it is. And put it directly in the canal, just a little bit of a shake, just to help keep that dry while the posts are in there. It doesn't keep it completely dry. It gets a little bit goopy in there regardless of what you do. It doesn't matter what method. They always seem to, you know, build up oils or whatnot. So it's always going to end up being kind of funky, but it shouldn't have any kind of like rotten odor or anything that's overwhelming. It sometimes gets a little smelly, but not too bad. So you're going to take your post, and this is the cushy side. Remember that we put the plastic zip tie on the one side. So we're going to take our cushy side with obviously the padding, and we're going to put that directly into the ear. There's, at the back of the ear here, there's a little pocket, and that's where you want the base of your post to rest. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert it into this back pocket, kind of push towards the back. It's his first time. And so what you're going to want to do is pull up the ear onto the post itself and kind of squish it on. So hoping, of course, that the bandage adhesive that the adhesive that you've put on there has tacked up and is really sticking. So as you can see, it's sticking in there. Looks quite good. And so then what I do is take this Kinesiology tape, cut a length. So what we're doing is we're going to be wrapping around the base of the ear. His ears are completely healed. He doesn't have any kind of scabbing on the base there. So, hello baby. So then I'll take this, and so what we're going to want to do is we're going to wrap the ear loosely. There's going to be absolutely no tension. Really what we're doing is just placing the tape to stop this part of the post from popping off. Really all it is support. It's not, you don't want any kind of tension or any kind of tightness, because it could cut off the circulation to the ear. So really all it is just kind of support. And so we're making sure that we wrap it in a clockwise, counterclockwise motion, because there is a fold here and we want this fold to fold back. And so I always anchor it low to the post. Careful, baby. Stop. And then I go round. You notice that I'm not pulling it tight, more placing it. Go swooping low. Easy, Bubba. Easy, Bubba. Stay. Good boy. And then just around. So I did a little bit of overkill. There's like extra tape here that I don't really need, but it'll just lend a little bit of extra support there. And then just placing the tape on, squishing it onto the ear. And that base should be firmly in there. I take another piece of the Kinesiology tape and I've cut it in half. And we're going to tape the tip. I like to try and use as little tape as I possibly can. I've mentioned before, regardless of what kind of tape, unless you're using the very expensive 3M Medipore H tape, some of the hair is going to come out. Like it's kind of inevitable, unless you're using this, which is already perforated, as you can see. And so it tends to fray quite easily. but it is very, very gentle. So it is an alternative should the ears get especially irritated or anything along those lines. And in the same motion, we're going to go straight to the tip of the ear, making sure to cover the actual tip, wrapping counterclockwise around, and then just squishing it on. If you need to, if you feel you need that extra support, you can put a third middle piece of tape. But I find this is sufficient to stay on. So I'm going to quickly do his other ear, and then I'm going to come back and explain the bridge. Okay, so we have both ears posted, as you can see. Red's being a very good model for us. And this is where you can have fun with your tape. We like to use like a fun printed tape. This, I believe, is the Renfrew brand. You can get this like with the Skull and Crossbones. There's a whole bunch of different patterns. I know that there's a camo one, and there's like a USA one and a Canada one. There's lots of really fun ones. They use these for like sports teams. It is a hockey tape, but because it's not directly touching the puppy's ears, you can use whatever you want. We even use, we have this gaffer's tape that we use as well, and it comes in a whole bunch of really fun colors. So, but he's a boy, and we want him to, you know, look masculine. So when I'm measuring my bridge, what you want is your ears to be parallel like a goalpost. So you're going to keep it nice and low, and where you're going to put your tape is where the tape already is on the ear. And so you measure in between the ears, and then you just double it. And give yourself just a tiny bit extra, and that should be enough.
Where are you going?
He's preparing to run away. This is his first taping, and I have to say he's being excellent.
Very good boy.
Yes, he's my boy. Okay, so anchoring your bridge tape nice and low onto the tape that's already wrapped around the ear. Okay, your ears are up parallel. Not too much tension, otherwise they'll be too close together, and then you're going to end up with them tilting in or creating a pocket, which is especially hard to correct should you accidentally get one. And wrapping back around, anchoring onto the tape itself, and pushing the tape together. Right there. So it pinches it together. I make sure that none of the hair up here is stuck in there, and then I just kind of stretch it out a little bit, just a little bit of relaxation there, so it's like not super tight or anything like that. And there you go. There's your big boy ears, your beautifully posted puppy. These should last, depending on how quickly they grow, because you will notice that the first sign that you need to review them really is that they'll start popping out through the bottom, and that's just a sign that your puppy has grown. Probably every 4 to 5 days, and at that time you can take them out and let them air out for a few hours, or you can just take them out, clean them, and then immediately repost the ears. You just need to remember that if you leave them out and they're flopping, every day that you leave them flopping is an extra week of taping. So I think that we want to limit as much as we possibly can, because I mean, it's not uncomfortable, but it's not great fun to have the responsibility.